So the basic gist of the game is you collect materials in a finite amount of time. You then convert these materials into a usable resources, which you then use to try and reach one of the several endings available. This is the world map. The timer up here shows how much time you have before the next cycle. Once the game reaches a certain number of cycles and you haven't gotten an ending yet, then it's game over and you lose. This timer only progresses while you're on the screen, so in other words, if you enter any of these locations, it will go on pause, and you can relax a little, plan out what you need to do, and so forth. To begin to collect materials, enter any of these locations by holding down Control, then draw a line from where you are to the destination. Once you arrive, click it again to enter. Locations that have materials present in them will have visual cues like this. Once you have collected it, press B to open your character page. In this game, you use your body to convert materials, so on the top right corner of the screen here, you see how much of the unrefined, so to speak, materials that you have. In the middle is your body, where you put the materials in to refine them. And the top left shows how much of the converted or refined materials that you have, which you can now use to do various things with. To put materials in, hold down the left mouse button on the color you want to refine, then click any of the available slots in your body, and vice versa to remove them. As I mentioned earlier, the timer is paused while you're in a chamber, and as a result, the material conversion is also on pause. If you want to convert materials, you will have to exit the chamber back into the world map to convert them. The reason this is like this is because the materials or color in your body also acts as your health in this game. So in other words, if you had no color in your body and you exit a chamber out into the world map, you will die. Therefore, a good rule of thumb for beginners is even if you have multiple slots in your body that you can use to convert colors with, it is best to use only one of them so that it takes longer to convert other materials, and as a result, you get to live longer. To use the refined colors, first select the color you want to use by holding down Control and clicking them at the top left. There's a couple ways to use them. The first thing you can do is to cast sigils with them. This is one of the few things the game actually teaches new players, so I won't go over it too much, but remember that the more color you use, the more potent the effect of the sigil. Don't worry about using too much, the game will return the color to you automatically if you go over the limit of a sigil. Next up, you can deposit color into inanimate objects, which will give you more of the unrefined version of the colors in the next cycle for you to harvest. And what I'm about to say next will sound really obvious, but the more color you put into the inanimate objects, the more you get to harvest in the next cycle, which sounds really obvious to new players, but the reason I need to mention this is because the game actually tells you to do the complete opposite, to put as little color as you can. Now, the game does changes based on how much color you use throughout your playthrough, so by doing what the game tells you to do, you get to see different branches of events, different paths, potentially different endings. But the downside is, as a new player, you probably only get to see a couple of them before you straight up die because you ran out of colors. Another thing to keep in mind is that these inanimate objects are not very regrowable, so try not to use all of them if you don't have to. What can happen is you use all of them to the full extent, and then all of a sudden you have too much color to harvest. Any unharvested color will simply disappear in the next cycle. Finally, you can give color to a group of living beings called the sisters. Again, things will happen depending on if you choose to give or not give, how much you give, and so forth, but all you need to know for now is, again, that you need color to stay alive. Staying alive is your top priority, so just be careful with how much color you use for this part of the game. You'll notice by now that there are different colors to refine. They mainly give you different benefits while they are in your body. Earlier we talked about how your body won't convert color while you're in a chamber, so what you can do is keep a portion of unrefined colors such that when you need them in your body for whatever reasons, say to fight a boss or whatever, you can put them in to do so. Just remember to replace them with a color that you don't need when you exit into the world map. The more color you put in your body, the stronger the effect, up to 100 color. So I always keep 100 blues in my inventories because putting blue in your body makes you move faster, which is really good in this game. Other than that, the sisters who you can give colors to will only take certain kind of color, which is shown on the top right when you talk to them. There is also an in-game glossary page which tells you what the different colors do. It will also tell you the negative side of the different colors, but you can ignore those because those were never implemented into the game. So if it says red makes the enemy do more damage, you can just ignore those. Combat. Before any major fights, you get a chance to put color in your body, so try and do that if you can for the benefits they give. Once you're in the fight, the red line at the top right corner of the screen is the health bar of the boss. Right next to it are 3 circles of coloring, and the one that is currently glowing is the color that you should use to do damage to the boss. This can be a little bit tricky if you have a attack sigil that have a slower projectile, so you have to either time it, or if you have a lot of color at your disposal, you can also just attack normally.
Challenges my righteousness shall die. The one who watched me in hope of exposing my weakness be blind.